We're here at the Canon booth with Chuck. Now Chuck, there's a lot of large sensor cameras out there, but there's still lots of applications for the small sensor cameras. And Canon has done a great job of meeting that demand by still keeping that small camera size that everybody really wants. You guys have a great series in the XAs and the XFs, and I'm seeing you have an upgrade to the XF series.
Exactly right. We have the XF205, which really becomes our top of the line in single chip, small chip camcorders. Basically what we have here is the same lens, sensor, and processor that we have in the XA25, which is a 20x optical zoom, a 1/2.84-inch CMOS, and also the Digic DV4 processor. On that lens, the 20x is definitely a big advantage for people who need to have a single lens that can do the vast majority of assignments. We've also been able to upgrade the image stabilization on this camera substantially compared to cameras like the 105, which had optical stabilization only. With the dynamic stabilization function here, we've got electronic stabilization on top of the optical to make it much more effective. On the sensor side, or the processor side, because of the Digic DV4, now we support dual codecs. So we're able to record simultaneously the MXF, which is the broadcast-ready 50 megabit per second 422, as well as the MP4 ready-to-web type video up to 1080 60p.
Which is also handy for editing on like an iPad or other devices.
Absolutely, because there's no post-processing required. You can go right to it. So it's a very powerful camera for just basic compact DNG or documentary filmmaking. Weighs only 3.7 pounds. Has got a lot of automation to it if you want it, but also a lot of full manual control. In terms of manual, you have, for example, the 3 independent rings for the zoom lens, so manual control, focus, zoom, and iris right at your fingertips. You also have the zebra and peaking for your exposure and focus assist. On the side of the camera, we have a new grip that is basically up to 120 degrees rotation, so for high angle or low angle shooting, very flexible. Now, if you're doing MXF, you can record into the dual CF cards, but there's also an SD card slot that'll handle the MP4. If you want to go out of the camera externally to other recording device or live, you can go HD SDI out on the XF205 or 3G SDI out if you need to go up to the 1080 60p. There's also Gen Lock and time code on that model. On both cameras, you have the HDMI out as well. So there's a lot of flexibility on just the hardwire options or internal recording. Plus, there's also built-in dual-band Wi-Fi. And that dual-band Wi-Fi can be used for either FTP or for browser remote control, so that you'll be able to actually control the camera if it's mounted for remote. So things like being able to start and stop, adjust the zoom, adjust the exposure, what have you, can all be done very easily.
Would you be able to do any level like a multi-cam setup, or is it be single camera control?
Well, the way the browser remote works, it's only on a single camera operation. But if you go for the XF205 model, the 3G SDI and HD SDI are very supportive of a multi-camera configuration.
I see you're going into an Animus recorder right here. So obviously there's the built-in 50 megabit, which is broadcast ready. But if you have a client that's requesting like a ProRes or something like that, you can easily then go into that and deliver whatever file format they might need.
That's exactly right. That's one of the main things that we expect people to be doing with this. And the other one is to go live streaming on your full 1080. And for that, it's not going to be something that you can do by the camera by itself, but standard streaming boxes from various different companies, whether it's the Teradex or the AJAs or the Blackmagic. It's all out there for people to be able to go streaming.
Now, tell me about the imaging sensor. What kind of dynamic range and what kind of quality can we expect out of it?
The image sensor, we don't really have a spec right off the top of my head for the dynamic range, but I'll check on it for you. What I can tell you is that we're able to get down to 1.2 lux in full color. Also, we have infrared capability on this, so even if you needed to shoot in complete darkness, you flip the IR cut filter out of the way, and there's an illuminator built in that'll take you out to 50 feet. Now, as far as the overall image quality is concerned, the new sensor that we're using plus the Digic DV4 gives us the best image quality we've seen so far from the small chip.
Well, it's amazing to see a broadcast camera in such a small package. I mean, it just brings a new level. Everybody wants portability, but everybody still wants quality. And so it's nice to not have to sacrifice one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we're talking about a camera that weighs less than 4 pounds, so it's going to be very, very portable. And it's also easy to use, so that you could put it into the hands of a reporter or somebody else who might not be a professional cameraman, and they'll still be able to come back with great footage.
Do you have pricing and availability announced yet?
Absolutely. We're looking at a street price of $39.99 for the XF205, $34.99 for the XF200. Again, the 200 is the same camera, but without the SDI ports. And we're looking at August shipment.
All right, Chuck, Canon has always been a leader in cinema lenses and lenses across the board. I see you're bringing in a whole new level of lens control to us today.
Yeah, the new Cine-Servo lens, 17 to 120 millimeter. It's a T2.95 lens that we're very, very excited to bring to the market. Up until now, we've had success with our cinema lenses that are good for motion picture rigs. We've also had good luck on the run and gun stuff with the conventional EF and EFS lenses. But what people have been asking for from us is basically the ability to do over-the-shoulder ENG type work, and also the ability to work in a television studio and basically have a camera that has the same kind of functionality as a conventional studio television camera with a box lens. So this new lens, this Cine-Servo 17 to 120, is the great answer to those two major needs. It can be used for over-the-shoulder work because it has a detachable drive unit that'll control your power zoom. And that 17 to 120 range is absolutely perfect for 95% of what most people shoot. But when you bring it into the TV studio and you're trying to cover, say for example, an interview show or the news or something like this, where you're going to have the camera mounted on a pedestal, that's where this camera lens really comes into its own. Because it has 3 ports on the drive unit, 2 of which can be coming out to the zoom and focus controllers that you're normally going to have on your pedestal. And then the third one is the rotary encoder, and that will come into your video village for virtual studio. So the typical situation where you've got the talent in front of the lens that you're photographing, but now you're going to drop in the computerized background. You have complete precision on the zoom, focal length, and also the focusing distance that's being fed through that rotary encoder to get a very, very precise match.
Well, I don't know that I've seen a servo lens or many servo lenses that cover the full 35 millimeter range for cameras of this nature.
Yeah, and the thing is too that we're now coming to the age of 4K, and you need to have a lens that is sharp enough to be able to handle the needs of 4K production. That's where this lens has really been designed. So we're looking forward to this as being very, very well received into the market.
Very good. Well, thanks again for your time, Chuck.
Appreciate it.
Special thanks to our sponsors for making our NAB coverage possible.